Cheppy, can you explain to us again what this deal is with your headphones?
Just a micro. What do you mean, bro? What
Why
are you
is it
talking about?
why is it creating a dent in your skull?
Just because it's tight, man. I don't know why. I don't have a big head or anything.
I just can't get over the fact that your headphones are creating a dent in your skull. Um, anyway, let's get this pod on the roll. Hey everyone.
We have a
You gotta
format
know if
we're
this
good.
is updated.
Pardon?
You
These
know if this is updated, the standing sheet.
yeah, standings are
Yeah,
updated.
it is.
Oh, nice. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on. So welcome in to another wonderful edition of NBN Podcasts After Dark. Um, I am joining us on this podcast for this post All Star break. We have Kyle, what the F, of the owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder. We also have Kid Monotone, owner of the Indiana Pacers, and we have Cheppy Wire, owner of the New York Knicks. I'll be hosting this, asking questions because I'm the dunce. K-Man, owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll be just going over mainly the top teams in each of the conferences. Um, Teams that are really looking to make their playoff pushes. I guess we'll talk about some of these guys in the play-in tournament as well, just to see if they can really make anything. I don't know, make anything fun the first round. But apart from that, we're not gonna talk about the shit teams, aka my team. Um,
Ah,
oh, don't worry. There you go. All right, so we'll start in the West. Um, and we're actually gonna
Oh,
we're gonna start from the bottom up. Um, we
so
have
you want
some.
to do Dallas and up,
I want to first
Golden
ask.
State even?
I want to ask you guys. Yeah, does any of you? What do you think that this is? Because there's a very big um block here, basically from 9 through 13, that are very tight. Are any of these teams? I mean, I guess I can't really then remove Utah too much, but I am going to. Can any of these teams make a splash in the playoffs if they were to make? And of these, of Memphis, Dallas, Golden State, Sacramento, Minnesota, um, these all teams are within 3.5 games with each other. Can any of them make any noise in the playoffs? Um, and secondly, um, which two teams do you think will make that 9-10 spot by the end of the season?
I think you gotta look at the star power on each of the teams. Like Dallas has Luca, and the Warriors they have Steph Curry, and those are two of the top players in the league right now. And we know what they can do on stream and in the sim. So when you look at those guys, those are definitely people that don't want to play against first round. They don't want to play against 47-point average Steph Curry and Luca.
I think the bigger question is can they actually get there though? Um, I mean, yeah, I agree. Kind of looking at the stars, but I think to see who will actually get the spots, you kind of look at the surrounding roster. Obviously, both Dallas and Golden State are in the position they're in because they don't have good supporting cast around their superstars. And no matter how high of an overall, uh, they can drop 50, but if your second option is, Jalen Brunson, it'll still catch up to you in a 7-game playoff series. I don't think I don't think either team has the potential to beat, you know, a top 3 seed in the West, top 2 seed in the West. Now, out of the two teams, I do think that perhaps Dallas has a higher chance just because it seems like Golden State kind of tore apart the spacing they had around Curry, and therefore his gravity is a lot less valuable this year, it seems. So I'm going to go with Dallas to potentially make that play-in spot and get in if they do.
So you're
And that would be over the Clippers
so you're
at this
n-
point in
Oh,
the standings,
ooh.
or
Well, I
Lakers.
mean, yeah, Lakers for sure. I think if anyone were to drop out of the playoffs right now from where they are, it would definitely be the Lakers. I mean, they traded away all their star power, and they have injured D'Angelo Russell as their best player, I think, or Tyrese Halliburton. So
yeah, what's his name?
Very,
D'Lo's
very
out
true.
for a couple weeks, or no, 4 to 6 weeks, I think it was, right? I think I saw
yeah, something like that.
that.
The team does not have their first round pick though, so at least they'll be competitive.
I mean, it means they won't be, openly tanking, but I mean, a lot of these guys right now in the playing spot, they're being competitive as well. Memphis, Dallas, all the way down. Like none of these guys are really trying to lose, except for Minnesota, I think. I don't know.
Well, this is the point in the season where a few of these teams are going to choose it, the other direction based off moves in the deadline or just reality setting in. I mean, I do agree. All these teams are talented. Honestly, Memphis is the best of the group.
Yeah.
Are they though?
Yeah, I mean, they got
Outside
strong.
of outside of Moran and Jaren Jackson and Wagner, it's pretty bare. But Jaw on stream is like insane.
That's the thing that sort of surprised me with like who is at this bottom. Is that these are teams that like historically speaking, at least for the last couple of years, we've known them to be extremely good, especially in stream. Golden State, Dallas, these are teams that are really good that their star power alone has taken them to stream. Sacramento was the top team in the Western Conference last year through at least Sims. Um, Memphis is a team that we all would have expected this year to be a team, stream team because of how much we knew how well or how much people thought Morant was going to make the jump, and then it actually it even then exceeded expectations.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't think even Memphis was expecting that
Good. What?
in terms of Jaw's improvement. They may have fielded a more competitive roster at the start of the year. But now Jaw is just going to be a perennial MVP candidate going forward. So they're gonna have to speed up their timeline potentially.
Good. What are your thoughts on this bottom of the Western Conference? Is there anything that you're seeing that's interesting from them, or is it just already are you already ready to move on from these guys that there's nothing here?
Nothing interesting at all. No, I mean, there's some, like, I feel like a lot of this group could be interesting if they make it to the stream, like, to the play-in where they're able to be on stream. Because, like, I know Dallas is kind of clean house a little bit. And there's not that good of a roster anymore. But, like, they obviously have been very good on stream. Any team with Steph Curry could be dangerous as well. I know, that one guy is, like, has streams. Yeah, I don't know. I know it puts a lot of time into. I know we didn't see the fruits of that last year in the playoffs, but I know he's going to put in the work to have be competitive. And even like the Wolves have, I feel like, an actually moderately talented roster. And then Ja as well. It's like really any of these teams, 8 to 13, like I think could actually pull off play an upset, win those two games if they get the 9 or 10, and then make it in. But I don't know. I don't have any strong preferences for one making it over the other. I think the Warriors are going to keep trying to. I don't know. The Warriors like tanking right now. Like, do we know if they appear to be trying to make the playoffs?
I mean, they don't have their own pick this year, so
Okay. Well, there you go.
they should go for it.
Yeah, I see them getting back into the race, overtaking either the Grizzlies or the Nugget or the Mavericks.
Well, some of these guys are not going to get in. So there's someone going to be upset, in my opinion, that wanted to make it probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Kings and the Wolves are probably out of it. Um, Actually, that's a pretty sizable gap. I don't know. do I really see any of those three winning enough to, I guess, make up what, like 2.5 game deficit? Maybe not. So I might just stick with Grizzlies and Mavs, but who cares?
Really? You think 2.5 games is a lot?
I mean,
20 games,
when
you
you
know?
struggle to win like half of your games, that's not exactly easy. I don't know. I don't see anything differentiating any of 11 through 13 enough to make me think that they're going to cover that gap.
Did um did anyone? I actually genuinely don't even remember. Did any of these teams make any major trade deadline moves that you think could help them move up?
I mean, the Kings traded away like their best player, right? The Aaron Fox. So
Yeah, but they traded for Gobert.
yeah.
Gobert left? God damn.
So I think the Kings are pretty much done this year.
I mean, they're gonna go all out. They're gonna put in their best effort.
The
But
Kings
yeah,
don't.
it's the
Kings don't
two
have
and a
their
half
pick.
game.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like they've been doing that all season, and the roster just got worse.
Well, I don't know. Didn't? I don't know. Because now they have what? They gave away. They got someone else along with Gobert, right? Let me see. They got Brogdon as well and
Brogdon.
Gallinari. So I mean, it's not all lost there. I just don't know that they really do have. The star power really doesn't compare with the teams above them. I feel like maybe it's a well constructed, like it's a good fit their roster together, but I don't know how that's going to translate.
Fair.
I
All
think
right.
it's time we move on
Yeah,
to.
I think we're good. um, we'll move on to this little hodgepodge in the middle: Houston, Denver, Portland, all within 3 games of each other. Houston is the team that's sitting at the top of that. Any of these three teams that you think can catch up to the main big boys group of the West? OKC, Phoenix, Pelicans. Can any of these three teams make make noise in the playoffs as well? Could be more dangerous and maybe enter that role enter the playoffs as a dark horse.
Oh, Denver for sure. I mean, last year they made it to the conference finals, and they were pretty dominant in those series. Like they won them pretty easily, like in five or sweeps. So I feel like Denver, they're still going to go in here. They're going to have a better record than they did last year, and they have a better roster. Picked up Derrick Rose in free agency, and they traded for that guy. They traded with Golden State. They traded away Monty Morris, and they got someone
They got
else.
Sexton from
Yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah, they got Sexton.
They got Slow Mo from Golden State, who got it from
Yeah,
us.
yeah. So they fleshed out their roster a lot more than it was last year. Where it was basically three guys and like some minimums, and now they have a lot better role players. So I feel like Denver,
And De-
regardless of where they're at, they can definitely go far.
and DeRozan evolved into Mega DeRozan.
Yeah, 25 mil a year for 91 overall.
Any love for Houston or any love for Portland then?
Well, I love Portland. I went into this year thinking that their trade for Vucevic was kind of a troll. They kind of like mess things up, but their team is doing very, very well. They were like top three seed early on in the year, and they've dropped a little bit. But I mean, if they can just stay 500 the rest of the way, I think they're gonna stay out of the play-in for sure.
But is staying? I mean, they are 3-7 in their last 10. I mean, is staying at
Yeah.
that's sort of my. I do have some worries about this team. Not some of the best numbers specifically. Um, as a competitor, and I don't know. Does any of them? Do any of you see? So obviously, Cheppy is really interested in Denver, especially in their playoffs, and that's definitely understandable. But at least in the regular season with the Sims, do any of you see anyone going south?
Um, I mean, I think Denver and Houston are both kind of, especially Houston, like their record is kind of misleading because they started pretty slow. And I think since the first, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 games, they've been the pretty clear fourth best team in the West, just record wise. I don't trust them on stream as much as the Nuggets probably, but I think those are the only two that could potentially make things interesting. I think the Blazers are trending down for a reason, and they even started pretty strong. So it's just like they're like the opposite of the Rocks. So like there's not any good reason to trust them very much, and I don't think there's much to their roster outside of uh, Lillard. And honestly, I don't think Vooch's overall is it's got to be not that high anymore after the season he's had. Kind of disappointing. So,
Vucevic, I
yeah,
don't think has dropped off
not
too.
on them.
Kid, you're cutting out a little bit there at the end, but Vucevic, I don't think he's dropped off too much. He's actually gone back up to an 84 now recently. He had dropped
Oh,
down to
I
an
mean that's not. I don't know. I don't. If your number two guy's at 84, I don't. I think you have to be pretty well coached to be a contender for a conference title.
I think Denver is pretty clearly better than Houston, in my opinion. Just especially with the DeRozan bump. I mean, that's going to be ridiculous on Sim going forward. I mean, Jokic is going to give you 30-point triple doubles. Like, I think they're going to be more than fine going forward. They should have the 4th spot.
All right, well then, I mean, considering that, then we can, I think, move on to the top three. OKC,
We're not going to say
Phoenix.
anything about Houston. I mean, if I would just like could say a little thing
Oh
that I
yeah,
think that their roster is they kind of had to make do with not a lot. They didn't have a lot of assets that they started out with, and of course they had the whole Harden situation. Everyone wants them to trade, so they did some moves in the preseason for Wiggins and McCollum, and right now I think they're overperforming a lot. Like they're being coached very, very well to this record. I think someone did like sim tests, and they were like, "Oh, I think T1G did sim tests, and he's like, Houston's always in the bottom of the league." But here, of course, Kamal's doing a good job with that. So I think the problem is translating that onto the string performance because on paper their roster is just a little weaker than the guys around them. So I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would also agree with, especially at the center position. I
What
mean,
are the whole front court? Like they don't have a front court to speak up. It's like
Well, I'll say don't underestimate JaVale McGee on stream. Okay, he's a little bit of a menace.
yeah, that was my basically my only like question. Maybe JaVale McGee. Um, I just was wondering whether or not he'd really get more minutes. I mean, he's going to continue getting minutes for Suns, so he's not his ratings are not going to drop. He's still 78, 79. Maybe Tice makes a comeback. Boston gets himself a little bit going. We'll see.
I think at this point it's looking highly likely that Denver and Houston meet each other in the first round, and probably should
Yeah.
at least be one of the more interesting series that we have because I don't know. I just feel like both conferences are pretty top heavy. And so we could see a lot of, like, especially in the East first round last year, just a lot of like blowouts night after night. And I think that series could actually have 7 game kind of potential. But I don't know. We've seen Denver kind of overperform on stream, and we've seen Houston underperform historically. But the roster is a lot different since last season, I guess. So who knows?
Personally speaking, I think that would be the worst case scenario for Houston is if they meet Denver, just because of what I said before, the lack of depth at center, quality depth,
Yeah, it would be, but it's the most likely scenario.
and
I mean, I would say it's very, very likely.
probably the good thing. Probably on the other hand, the other argument is that I think it hits to what either I think it was Kyle or Kid was saying about like this could go 7 games because Denver doesn't really have great perimeter defenders, at least in the starting lineup either, to really lock down on James. I get on Harden. Harden can really just seemingly dominate. I feel like on the offensive end. So I feel like we're gonna get like back-to-back 50-point games between Jokic and Harden. It's really gonna be about can DeRozan, and Murray, will those guys overpower what basically what's nothing, or I guess CJ for Houston? Yeah, will they
Yeah.
overpower CJ and Wiggins? Which wing duo will win the game? Personally, my money would be on Denver in that situation still.
I would agree.
All right.
Yep.
I think we can move on. The top three in the West: OKC, Phoenix, Pelicans. Um, Phoenix will be getting back some key players as the season, as we head into the playoffs. They got Kawhi Leonard coming back within a week, in 1 to 2 weeks. They have also DeAndre Ayton coming back within 1 to 2 weeks. Um, Pelicans, obviously they made the major trade for some guy from Akron. Yeah, some guy. I don't know. And they'll be also getting a fully healthy Drew Holiday coming in within 1 to 2 weeks. That goes the same as well for back to the Houston Rockets. Wiggins is injured currently. Yeah. Anyway, sticking to the top three. Do you guys think any of these three teams? And then obviously we have at the very tippy top, Oklahoma City Thunder. Kyle has done a fantastic job with this team. Like seriously, absolutely fantastic job with this team getting them to the top of the conference. Now, to Kid and to Cheppy. So Kyle, keep quiet for a second. Do either of you think? What do you think the chances are of OKC holding on to this top seed over Phoenix, over the Pelicans, considering the Pelicans' moves during the trade deadline, and considering the Phoenix Suns will be getting back some of their star power?
Well, OKC rose to the top of the standings off the backs of a 17-game win streak, and is that still going, or did they break that?
Still going.
I think it's still going. Okay, so you want to see, because 17 games is nothing to sniff at. But before the streak, they were a little bit lower on the standings. So I just want to see, if that's going to last till the end of the season or not. I think probably chances are high. Their point differential is top three in the conference. So I would say that they have really good odds of staying up there. I mean, being the 1 seed, it's really, really close since they're only a game ahead of the Suns and they've been consistent all year. But I mean, they have a good chance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll get the 1 seed. Yeah, I believe in their ability to continue to be successful on Sim. I think I would put them as a comfortable third in terms of who I think is going to come out of the West in the playoffs. But I'd all be shocked if they did. I think they like Sim or Stream definitely belong on the top tier with the Pelicans and the Suns, but yeah, I think I trust a roster led by SGA and Clay and JV a little bit less than one led by, LeBron and a good supporting cast, or Kawhi and a good supporting cast.
Well, the thing with the Pels that I'm not really sure about is that when they played on stream after their LeBron trade, they got pretty beat. They got kind of destroyed a little bit. I don't remember who they were playing against, but
they were playing against Dallas.
Dallas, and yeah, Dallas is the 10 seed, so I don't know. Maybe they might have done something wrong with that trade. Maybe they set things out, because Zion is a really, really strong player in the sim and on stream. He gets points whenever he wants, and he's always popping off, and he gets his team to high records in the sims. So now that he's traded away, I don't know. I mean, did that disrupt something? Because Zion is a pretty high overall. I mean, LeBron is best player in the league status, but they had a good thing going. I don't know if they had to change things up, and maybe that's going to bite them.
I think reading too much into one stream is the oldest, most classic mistake in the NBN, but you could be right. But I'm not worried about that particular stream at all. I'm sure they didn't even have much time to figure out what works and what doesn't work on stream with LeBron on their team anyway. So,
Sure. Did you see the picture of their FO chat? I mean, they're panicking over there, man.
oh, true.
Who's leaking?
I think Av leaked it himself. I would never, make anything from my FO chat public. I don't know. He's got some balls.
True. Can't have that.
So some dissension in New Orleans, maybe. I don't know, Kyle. What do you think about that? Looking at the two teams below you, which of these teams, at least sim-wise, heading into the playoffs, would you be most fearful of to overtake you? I mean, considering that you have, because I know that we talked about the 17-game win streak, but just looking at the numbers right now, you are actually having the easiest strength of schedule up ahead, with like 46% win streak, with 46% opponent winning percentage.
Um, yeah, I think it's kind of too early to tell with the Pelicans. I mean, obviously they have a great starting five, and then I think after that is where questions can come with fit and stuff. Maybe that is part of it. But yeah, I agree with Kid. Like, never look too much into one stream or one game, um, whether it be playoffs or not. And then with Phoenix, I guess if I had to choose between the two, I would choose Phoenix just because they have, had a more consistent roster. The Pelicans just, traded for one of the best players of all time. So obviously a lot of moves went out and they have to kind of figure out their game plan with just, 20 games left or whatever. So we have to see. But yeah, I would say Phoenix.
I think one storyline to watch is the Pelicans potentially getting the 1 seed back, and then Darth being put out of the playoffs by LeBron James. I would enjoy watching that take place.
So, Kid, do you think so? Kid, it sounds like you think the Pelicans actually got better with this trade, because that was actually gonna be my next question. Do you think that this trade, giving up Zion, Lonzo, do you think that, and getting the back of Ron, do you think that
Yeah,
actually made the Pelicans better?
yeah. I mean, in the short term, you would hope so. It's like if it doesn't make them better in the short term, then it's a terrible deal for them. So yeah, definitely. Like I don't. Zion's Zion's really good on stream, but I think LeBron is a top 5 player on stream and gives them an element that they didn't have before, as far as a superstar that's not really someone you're ever going to shut down at all. It's probably going to go off just about every game on stream. So it's like, I don't know. Did they have that before? No. So I think it's definitely worth it. If
You wouldn't put, so
it's.
you wouldn't put Zion in that category.
I mean, not quite. No, I think he might be like borderline top 10, but he's not gonna like. Yeah, no, he's not gonna give you the things that a guy like LeBron or a guy like Kawhi in Phoenix is going to give you. So
I think Cody Zeller could shut down Zion in 2K stream. Like any 7-footer, he's just gonna get blocked on those layup attempts unless he does the dunk animation every single time. But yeah, I don't know. In the playoffs, it's gonna be a lot harder when teams can manually match their tallest player on him and then double him on his drives. He's not the best playmaker out of those. I don't know. I mean, I get why the Pelicans did it for sure.
Um, last two we'll do two more questions in the West, and then we can move on to the East, because we are probably going to run over the 45-minute time limit. I gave myself. Um, which of the teams in the whole Western Conference would you say is right now the #1 prohibitive favorite to come out?
In the West, right?
Yeah, in the West.
In the West, out of anyone, if you would have to pick one, I think you have to go Phoenix. I mean, right now, Kawhi is really, really strong stream player, and Devin Booker, he's picked it up in the. I think his rating's gone up as well, and he's become a lot more respected since the Suns IRL are doing better. So Aiton's really strong, and they got Schroeder went down. I don't know who they're replacing. Who they replace him with in their starting lineup?
Chris Stud, they just picked up.
Okay, actually, wait, never mind. I'm reconsidering. Come back to me. Come back to me.
No worries. I mean, to your point about the D-Book, I mean, it's sort of like a really good timing for Chuck's perspective, at least for 2K, or at least for NBN's perspective. the Chris Paul injury because we know it's going to only mean more time for Devin Booker to take over, um, more for the ball in his hands, more shot creation for him. It's going to be a lot more pressure on Devin Booker if he's able. I would assume from what we've seen so far this season, what we've seen even last season from Devin Booker, the complete transformation he's taken as a full on next level star, possibly. This could be the perfect chance for him to take on MVP level season or really enter himself into the MVP conversation in real life. And that could only increase his overall rating right now. The same can be said for Mikal Bridges. I can see him making a big jump. I don't know if I can really see DeAndre Ayton making a big jump, but he's already got that height overall. Um, I don't know. Weirdly enough, I like the injury that happened to Chris Paul for the Suns' chances in the NBN, just because I think that it will actually cause some of the players on the Suns to increase.
I think with the Suns, it's a little strange because they kind of before free agency they were still kind of rebuilding, going along. They had that lottery luck, and they got the number 3 pick, and now we're looking at their record now and what they did in before the season, signing Kawhi, and now it's kind of like maybe they should have used that pick and like cashed it in, traded it for a win now player, a veteran type, or someone that could help them in this run. Because right now, I think Jalen Suggs is one maybe a pick widely criticized at the time, and also a player right now that I don't think is going to make a huge impact for their title chances. So I don't know. Maybe in terms of the roster, it's not been maximized.
Personally, I'm a little bit more afraid of the Pelicans now with LeBron, kind of for the reasons mentioned on stream. I feel like with Phoenix, we'd be able to match up pretty well with our defense. We could throw Clay on Kawhi. We could throw Dort onto Book. JV versus Aiden. And then I think we have more depth. So I would definitely rather play the Suns. But then at the same time, I think the Suns are a better sim team to potentially pick up a 1 seed if they were gonna. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. I mean, obviously, we've
Yeah.
seen
Could
throughout
I?
the season just how different Sim is from Stream. I feel like this season, especially, has really been quite different, especially with what we talked about at the very beginning, with how far Golden State, how far Dallas has dropped off from where they were last year. Kid, who would you select of these three? Or
I
maybe
think
one from the others from the field.
I think the Suns are. I mean, the roster is really, really good. It's like you got 290 somethings, I think, plus Aiton, plus like a pretty good cast even beyond those three. So yeah, they seem like the deepest. They also seem like they have the most like star powers. Like I don't know. I don't. We don't really have much of a historical sample size of Chuck and his teams on stream, but I have to believe that he knows what works and what doesn't work so well. So I don't. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with them until proven otherwise. I think Kawhi's might be the best player of the three. You can make the case for LeBron, but yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Suns. I think it's just some guys that I'm like interested to see how much of an impact they make. Is like for the Thunder, like Anthony Simons, like he's just been popping off in real life, and I have to think his overall, like he's just an 80 right now, but he's dropping like high 20s, low 30s practically every night currently, and I think his overall is going to go up, and he could like almost give the Thunder like another almost borderline star level overall come playoff time. So I'm interested to see what happens with them. And even like the Pelicans, like, I'm interested to see just with some of the playing time that open up, like guys like, I don't know, Gary Trent Jr. or I don't think anyone else is. I think he's probably going to benefit the most from Lonzo leaving as far as playing time. I don't know, but yeah, just seeing how he develops as well and what kind of impact he can have. Because I don't know, those are the guys I think those two teams will need to really step up if they're going to be able to match the firepower of the Suns in the playoffs, just with the three like all-star caliber players that they have from an overall standpoint.
All right. I think we're good then on the Western Conference. We can move on to the Eastern Conference now. We'll start again at the very bottom. Well, not very bottom. We'll start right above. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about Washington? Do you guys want to talk about Orlando? Do you guys want to talk about these teams?
Yeah, I think Washington's interesting. I can just because they made that trade for John Wall. I think he just got healed, so now we're gonna see what they can do with a point guard, because I think before they were starting like Rondo. And the star players in that roster kind of need someone who need a playmaker to set them up, like Bradley Beal and Embiid. They're not. I won't say they're not shot creators, but they're kind of like they're not playmakers. In the same way that other guards are, other centers are, like that. You would think of them as they can run the team. They kind of need someone there to help them out. And Washington, outside of the stars, is it's a little barren. Like their next best player is like Marcus Morris or something. So
Yeah, and after Marcus Morris, it's Royce fucking Neal.
Yeah.
well,
Jesus.
I mean, it's just like the same old, like, it's really funny to me. Like, it's just the same old Washington team that we've had for the last 2 years. And even we saw this with, like, the old NBN. Like, they had a good roster on paper, and nothing ever happened. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know that I have the confidence in Washington management to make this team ever look anything like the sum of the parts actually looks. Like, and I know the depth issues are like very real and legitimate, but I also think like you should be getting more out of a team that has Beal and Embiid, and even last year they had Porzingis, and I want to say they lost in the play-in if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think they made the plan.
No.
Oh, really? Well, there you go.
But they traded Porzingis mid-season. They cashed him out for Aaron Gordon and filler.
Well, now they have John Wall, and it's like I don't. How much does? Yeah, it's a competent point guard, which is something, but he's certainly not John Wall of any other healthy stage of his career. So I don't know. It's always a fascinating, just fascinating mess to watch. And I do hope they make the play in, because who knows what could happen when you have Embiid and Beal. But I don't know. I don't know that they had Ben, their GM, for last year's play, or
No,
and
he just joined this year.
so I really don't know the dynamic of the Wizards, and I know he's been hustling and doing some things for that team, and I'll be interested to see what he's able to do, if he's able to get a playoff appearance for them. But I don't know. It's a weird team, and it's just funny to me how they just underperform the way that they do.
I mean, I'll say this, just like I don't think we want to talk about Washington for this much, but Orlando right above them in the 10th seed. I think their stock is. I mean, Russell Westbrook's overall is tanking, and I think they are I think they're going to fall off, and the spot's going to be open.
Yeah.
And Washington's right there, so I definitely see them at least being able to get to that 10th seed.
Yeah.
How hard do you think Orlando will slide?
Well, I don't know, like Oklahoma win streak, but maybe a loss streak.
They don't have their pick, so they're still
going to be competitive.
Like AJ had them as like the 6th seed last year. I think their roster was probably. I don't think they had like Porzingis.
Well, Russ was like an 85.
Westbrook. It's like
Westbrook he was 85.
Yeah, Westbrook
with God badges still and stuff.
He's now dropped it down to a 79, below an 80. Like, it's pretty bad.
That's fair.
Yeah. And their last year they also had Quickly that they started, and this year I think right now he's like a 75. He regressed a little bit, so
they don't have Quickly anymore.
Orlando?
Oh no, they do. Never mind. I didn't see him there.
They're gonna just fall off, though. AJ rings every drop of talent out of the roster he has at any given time.
They play good on stream. I mean, they do, but I just don't think in the sim it's gonna really hurt them, their performance there in the sim, and I just don't see them really hanging on to that 10 seed. It's gonna be a challenge. If he does, then I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
I just
But
want to hear something spicy about Orlando.
let's
What?
hear it.
I offered them their first back this year and an additional first round pick for Desmond Bain on that rookie contract. And they said no.
Yeah, well, they
I
love
don't.
Desmond Bain.
Yeah, that's their pick though. That's their. I mean, they picked him
That's their pick.
15
That's
in the.
that's their
in-
pick.
Yeah,
They
I don't
could
know.
they could get like a top 8 pick. I don't know.
They could get
Nah.
another Desmond Bain.
It could be anything. It could be Desmond Bain.
Yeah, but Desmond
He does.
Bain's crazy this year. This year he's
Yeah, it's
insane.
really good.
That's the
Well,
weird
that's why I
thing.
made
I will give
that's
it.
why I made the offer. I'm not surprised they rejected it. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will give Magic this. They back-to-back years they made. I don't know if they got pooled this year, but they've been very good about finding these. At least a couple of times now, finding these like wing players that just pop off. They've got. I mean, quickly popped up pretty quickly. Okay, that's bad. Um,
Uh,
quickly popped off. That
Boo.
was not purposeful. I swear to God. Quickly popped off. Jordan Poole popped off this year. Bain exceeded expectations at least from what um he was going to come in, and that definitely popped off this year. I give them credit for that, and I feel like, and then Porzingis trade. I mean, he's come around very well, but it's just sort of it's just really unfortunate just how far Westbrook has fallen because I feel like, and I feel like this team should have been better with what they have. Maybe it's just the lack of. Maybe once again we're seeing just how badly they need some depth in the center position. I guess, but like I don't know, because of how bad their front court is. Um, what do you guys think of Cleveland or Chicago? No,
Not Chicago. We don't need to talk about Chicago.
Cleveland.
They're another one that's like their records started off looking a lot different than it looks now. So I think they're probably a little worse than what the record would indicate. I don't think this is the year for them. Like they've improved a lot, which is great for them. But I think they might not even be a top 10 scariest team in the East right now. So I don't know.
Do you think they have a chance of falling out?
No, I don't think they'll fall out. I think they're pretty comfortably in, and I don't trust the Magic's roster or the Wizards coaching to both surpass them with. Yeah, no, like Killer does a fine job with that team, but I don't think they're going anywhere in the postseason.
They have their pick this year. What is the purpose of this season exactly? Because players don't gain anything from playoff trips in the NBN. You know,
Coaches do.
there's no
yeah. Well,
experience.
They
Coaches do.
started off really good, so it's like
One at a time. One at a time. Yeah, they started off good. Okay, then pull the plug. Get assets.
Kyle,
I don't know.
I'd genuinely
I
argue that
mean,
being
obviously, I'm gonna be the most spearheaded on this point, but it's better to get the top 5 pick than lose in the first round or play in 9 times out of 10.
so my argument would be just the idea that Killer hasn't been in the playoffs for a while. Like, when was the last time his team was in the playoffs? And I'd make the same argument as well for, in a
it's only been
similar way to Chuck, right? Because like,
he only missed 1 year. He was there the last year.
Yeah, I missed 1 year. Killer had finals runs.
did it? Oh, right, because they had LeBron still for those years. Forget.
They had LeBron
Never mind.
and Dangle, unbeatable combo. Yeah.
LeBron Dangle, yeah. Yeah, no, so scratch that. Never mind. So maybe Killer doesn't need the playoff experience. Um, yeah, that was really going to be the only thing I could consider. But like, yeah, maybe you need to see what this team can do in the playoffs on this construction in the stream. That's to me what is um the positives of going into a play-in tournament, just to see what your team can do more often versus the regular season stream, the 3 regular season streams that you get. Like that only can get you
I
so
think
far.
they would benefit with patience. Like they have Capella on a good contract. They have rookie deals. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense from my perspective. Uh, yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they have a lot of promising young players. Cleveland
Like,
does.
why do you need to go to the playoffs to see what first year Jonathan Kuminga is gonna do? Like that, it's not important.
You wanted to get free tickets to see Kyrie Irving up close.
Yeah, I don't know.
I even thought they could
I
have
hope
been
I hope
buyers.
they pull the plug for their sake. That's just
I mean, the fall is so high though. To get into the top 5 from where they were, like it, you'd have to have been tanking from like
oh yeah.
December.
Sure, maybe it's too late now, but
But I mean, even like a few months ago, like I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell when you should really like start tanking, and then it's kind of you can't go back. And
They have a bottom 5 roster, so
Yeah, it helps.
Cleveland does.
It helps when the decision is made for you with a 15-game losing streak.
yeah,
Anyways, that's all on Cleveland.
Yeah, I just want to separate Boston here from the next.
Yeah,
So Boston lost 5 games in a row because if they hadn't lost 5 games in a row, they'd be in this hodgepodge group of like Miami, Detroit, Toronto, right in there. But instead, they've lost 5 games in a row. They're right at 500. Do any of you guys think that they will drop even further? Or do you think they can secure themselves to have at least home court advantage in the play-in tournament, or climb themselves out of this situation? I personally think that's a bit too far of a reach, but yeah, what do you guys think? Because at the end of the day, they do have a 3-point differential, which is higher than the 2 other teams in front of them.
what's the status of Jaylen Brown? Is he done for the year?
So that's the thing. Jaylen Brown is out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I think it was, or yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
They may slide out.
So he's going to be He's only going to be back in the playoffs, is what I would assume.
Let's see then. If they slide out, who slides in? Like Orlando's not going to get there.
Cleveland's the next one.
Washington wants to get there, and I guess for some reason Cleveland does as well. So yeah, that should be interesting. I was just gonna say, and I kind of forgot about the Jaylen Brown injury. This roster is like disgusting, head to toe. I mean, outside Jaylen and Tatum, obviously, it is like pretty atrocious.
77s,
Yeah,
77s across the board, and none of them are like, I don't know, even two-way talents, kind of just specialists or microwave scorers. This kind of reminds me of what everyone kind of thought my team would be, like 2 high 80s and then kind of a shitty supporting cast. But yeah, I don't know. If Brown is out, then yeah, it's just gonna be a battle of like Boston, Washington, and Cleveland for that 8th spot. Should be interesting actually if Washington picks it up.
Yeah, I think they kind of missed their chance with the Kemba trade. They could have tried to get like a strong stream player. Like when Dallas traded for John Wall, I mean, he's not really that good, but he still has the tendencies and he still has the badges from his previous years. So they could have traded for someone like that, but they kind of punted and they traded for Blake Griffin's expiring contract, and now they have DeAndre Jordan, and now it's not really competitive. They didn't really make competitive moves.
And to add to your point, next season they have Blake Griffin off the books, and they're still not going to have cap room, so they're kind of stuck.
Unless they want to renounce Marvin Bagley.
They do have some of their future first, and yeah, I mean that may have to be a realistic decision.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, hey, maybe might see a Bagley renaissance in Detroit in real life. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, if they do want to re-sign him, I think it's going to be easy to get him on a cheap contract. Like, I don't think they need to make him RFA.
Yeah,
true. They got some pretty good odds, if we recall correctly, in the extension committee. And if the Bagley renaissance doesn't happen in Detroit, that'll only further help their case in the summer. All right, I think we're done talking about Boston. 7-6-5. Toronto, Detroit, Miami. Detroit riding an 8-game win streak. They made some moves at the deadline, didn't they? Or am I incorrect on that? Oh, they made the trade for De'Aaron Fox. So
No, wait, that was Detroit.
yeah,
Okay, I thought you were talking about Toronto.
no, Detroit. Yeah, so like of these three teams, obviously there's just how like accurate to NBA the Miami Heat are always. Jesus, they really are exactly the same except for marketing. Um, and I guess Adams. But yeah, so of these three teams, which do you think um can really be a possible dark horse?
I go with Miami.
Still.
I mean, we saw them go to the finals in real life with a similar team, though. So
Yeah, but we also saw him get smacked by the Hawks in the first round
but
last
I mean,
year.
out of that group, I'd say they're clearly the strongest.
Also, that is the Hawks, the guys who went on to be the eventual champions.
I mean, I don't know. Toronto has an argument too. They have two all-stars, fringe all-star in Siakam. So
I like Detroit. I think they're the hottest of the teams,
they
and
got a lot of 80 overalls.
they lead me to think that they are, the best team right now of that group. I don't. It's like I do like that they have a lot of guys who I feel would be able to score effectively on stream. Just and I think the Aaron Fox is going to see another. Is complete speculation, but I think he's going to play better since the Sabonis trade and see a little bit of an overall boost and go back to being all-star caliber player potentially. But I don't know. It's a good balanced team at the very least. Solid from 1 to 5, I think. Maybe not 5, but yeah, I like them. I would not sleep on them, but I know that's probably because we've seen Miami like basically with the exact same roster. They didn't do anything in last year's playoffs. I don't know that I trust that this year's going to be much different. Like it's a decent roster on paper with 6 or so guys are pretty solid, but and then Toronto just I don't know. Maybe I'm sleeping on Toronto, but they're kind of a wild card themselves because I don't know what not Chris is gonna do in his first year as an owner on stream, and they do have the talent. So actually, I might go Toronto out of that group.
Personally speaking, I'm not gonna buy in Toronto just because of the fact that they have matching up Fred VanVleet and Chris Paul. I'm really not gonna believe in that in the playoffs to convert. I'd much more. I'd be much more worried personally about Detroit, um, just because I get the feeling that Fox and Cunningham and Anthony Edwards and Christian like this is an offensive unit for Stream, and I'm really am hyped to see how they do in the playoffs in Stream. Um, how this works? Can they get going and can they look to dominate possibly? Um, I don't know. I like the construction of it on paper. I do worry about again lack of good defensive centers. Will other teams dominate? Will other teams be able to just match up, go tit for tat with them, essentially?
I mean, with Detroit, their projected matchup right now is Brooklyn, and they made some moves to sort of, they cashed in LeBron, so I think that's definitely a matchup that they're aiming for, that they think they can play them on equal footing. But for them to go further than that, I think they would have to push it into a whole different gear. I mean, then now we're talking about playing the Bucks, the Pacers, the Hawks, and those guys are like proven playoff teams. Their records are really high, and they're so tough to beat in a 7-game series that I just don't know. Like Detroit right now, all their talent's really good, but it's young, it's raw, it's like undeveloped, and I think it's going to take a few seasons for it to really like mature.
Good point. I mean, you brought up what you. I mean, you sort of segued us nicely into that into that top tier. Um, I'm going to include Brooklyn, Atlanta into Indiana and Milwaukee, even though there is a quite big of a games. There is quite a big difference between, or at least in record wise, between Milwaukee and Brooklyn. And so, what I'll do is I'll frame my question is, do you think it's fair for me to put Brooklyn and Atlanta into the same conversation as Milwaukee and Indiana, or do you guys think that the regular season record illustrates that there is a difference between these teams?
Say Brooklyn and Atlanta.
Yeah, because Brooklyn and Atlanta, I mean, so Brooklyn is 41-19, Atlanta is 39-21. These teams are 5 and 7 games respectively back of Indiana and Milwaukee at 46-14, tied at the top of the Eastern Conference.
And I think that they're two wildly different scenarios there. Even like their points differential, like Atlanta's at 8.9, which is just a shade behind Milwaukee, like 0.3. And Brooklyn's down at 5.7, like over 3 points behind. So Brooklyn's like you factor in that so they're winning. They're eking out their wins sometimes. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They just traded away LeBron and lost Kevin Durant for the year, so now it's like Zion and a roster that otherwise is not particularly exciting. It's like I think Zion, Lonzo, LaMarcus Aldridge, Caruso, Bogdanovich. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now. It's like what's that team gonna do? Like the Pelicans surrounded Zion with a lot better talent last year, and they I think lost first round to the Warriors, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think I think the Nets will lose a 3 seed almost certainly with the time remaining, and I don't really. I think it'll be a break caught by the Pacers or the Bucks, whoever ends up coming into the Eastern Conference semis to play that team if they even make it. Because I think right now the Nets are a lot closer to Miami, Toronto, Detroit in terms of how good they are. And even like their points differential is behind Miami already. So, but Atlanta, it's like you can't if you discount Atlanta, like you're a fool. Like I don't know why the record is what it is, or why they're losing so many games, but it's not like they're all that different from the team that was just clowning everybody in the league in the playoffs last year, myself included. So honestly, I think Atlanta's the favorite to win it all until proven otherwise, but I know that's a bit of a spicy take. So I would not put those two in the same category at all.
We also know that Kid is possibly also trying to not jinx himself, so we'll get some non-bias here. Kid or Kyle or Cheppy, what do you guys think?
I
I mean,
think
okay.
I think Brooklyn will probably slide down, especially with Kevin out for the year and downgraded from LeBron to Zion. So with that, like kind of fact, that should get ATL to at least the 3 seed. Um, and then that will obviously help him out going forward in matchups. I would say that like ATL, Indiana, and Milwaukee is tier 1, but yeah, after that trade, Brooklyn fell off to maybe a tier 2 or I guess yeah, tier 2 just because the drop off is pretty large. I don't really see them as a contender anymore, at least this season, especially with their best player out. Now, Indiana and Milwaukee will be interesting. Milwaukee has had an easier schedule so far, so it'll be interesting just to see how hard, I guess, Milwaukee goes for the first seed, or if they rest Giannis a bit towards the end of the year, like previous Milwaukee teams have. But yeah, I would say the top 3 is all pretty close in terms of, um, I guess, just team strength. And as Kid mentioned, definitely don't sleep on the Hawks in the playoffs. I don't think the record is even that bad. I mean, they've won 65% of their games. Um, they can always, get that up. So, and they have a good point differential as well. It's kind of where I see it.
Uh,
Trippy.
Yeah, I don't want to be too biased. I mean, Atlanta's kind of my rival, So I might have some hot takes on it, but I mean they're good. I
You're
think the
worse
problem
than
with them in the
me. How do you have a rival?
okay, so stop talking to me, bro. Anyways, uh yeah, Atlanta's the problem with them in the sim is that the shots are distributed in a weird way that, they're like star players like Paul George and Anthony Davis are getting less shots and they're averaging less points. I think AD is averaging like 15 or something because of some weird stuff happening. So I don't know. But that's gonna get under control in the playoffs because those shots are gonna go to them, regardless of whether they like it or not. You put the ball in the hands of those players and they're gonna score and they're gonna make plays. And as we saw last year, there's nothing that wins you more games in the playoffs than star power and and good tendencies. So I really believe in Atlanta this year, and I think other teams should kind of just be. I think the only other team that really has a chance is Milwaukee. I don't want to say anything bad about Indiana, but it's a new roster kind of. It's not Kawhi this year, so. But Milwaukee last year they put up a good fight. I think a stronger fight than anyone else against Atlanta. And this year they're a bit more developed. They've got some experience, and I'm excited to see them meet again. I think it's going to happen for sure.
So, which do you think of these teams? I guess we'll take out Brooklyn. I mean, from what it sounds like, which
I
do you?
mean, do you believe in Brooklyn?
I'd sort of forgotten that Durant was out for the full season. Yeah, no, I shouldn't. I really shouldn't consider them. I mean, can what do you guys think? Can Indiana, Milwaukee, do either of those teams um compete, or which do you think of these two teams has the best chance of dethroning Atlanta?
I just go with the Bucks because of Giannis. Can average 50 on stream.
The guy can play center, so it's over.
And then also, like, Love's overall going up is huge for them. And then Victor Oladipo never playing basketball again and staying in 80 overall is also good for them. So they've had a good season development.
And
Jashawn Tate, 79 overall. Good find.
all right, I think we've all
All right.
rounded out. Kid's already said that he thinks the Atlanta Hawks are the number one team, are the team to beat. His pick to come out of the East. He's trying not to jinx himself. Cheppy, would you agree with this statement, though?
Atlanta's going to come out of the East. Yeah, I would say yes.
Cal?
I don't know. I think it's just a toss up between ATL and Milwaukee. I don't really know how the last series went, how close it was, but I think it should be close. I don't really have a favorite of those two to win.
Well, we'll just have to see how it goes in the battle of the East. I mean, okay, well, I guess one final question: which of these teams, Indiana, Milwaukee, which two is going to take that number one seed?
Milwaukee. I don't know, because Indiana, they just like get wins. I don't know how they do it. They're like I don't know. They just kind of like conjure wins out of thin air. It's kind of strange the way they do it because I tried to do the same thing this year, but I think the reverse instead. I think we have like inverse records, so they like curse me or something. But Indiana, like with Kyrie and what's the other player you have? Tobias?
Mason Plumlee.
Okay. Yeah, with Mason Plumlee
Edmund
and
Sumner.
Tobias Harris, they're like the best. They're the best record in the league, and it's kind of strange.
Hell
So
yeah.
I wouldn't count on them like stopping to win.
That's right.
Okay, bragging a
1
bit.
seed inbound.
Ooh.
I mean, it would be really funny if Indiana lost to Boston in the first round. It'd be really fun.
That's not gonna happen.
See, it's
These
Yeah, it'll be
stars are
famous
fun.
last words. Famous last words.
No, we swept the Magic last year. It's gonna be the same story in the first round. I'm not worried about the first round.
You're
I
not
mean,
worried about seeing Joel Embiid?
We'll see about that. But no, in that eventuality, I'm not.
I mean, Washington would have the best overall player.
It's true.
yeah, but Kyrie is broken. Like, actually, he's like Dame or John Wall. He's just like busted, and they
SGA.
won't fix him.
Yeah, he was out of this world at the All-Star game. I will give you that.
And then
Hey,
Indiana's a red state too, so he's safe. I don't know, man.
that's
There's
right.
too many advantages.
There's no viruses in the Matrix. All right, I think we've wrapped it up. I think on this post
Well,
ASB.
what do you think, Cayman?
What do I think?
Who comes out of the East?
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Atlanta. End of the day, it's gonna be Atlanta.
That's a biased take. Just because Milwaukee beat you in the first round like twice.
I think it was 3 times.
Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, 3 times. Nah, I got to give it to Atlanta. Their roster is dominant. Like,
Defending champs, I think they should always get the benefit of the doubt. So I don't, after I win a championship, I don't want it to be like, oh well, they fell off a little bit. Give them that respect, right? I think they worked hard last season and they built their roster really well, and they suffered some blows in free agency this year, maybe undeservedly. I don't know. I'm not on FA committee, so maybe someone else can speak if to whether or not they were blackballed by the committee. Uh, but yeah, I mean they're doing good with what they have.
yeah, look, it's not even just me giving them credit just because they were champions last year. Like, that is the track record, yes, but still, just look at the roster. Like, Trey Young, they have 290s, first off, just on basis. Then you also have Paul George, who is near 90 and is elite in stream. You also have players like Norman Powell, Tim Hardaway. Um, they are also very good shooters. Norman Powell, I presume, is going to do better on the Clippers. He's overall is going to go up. We don't. I mean, Tim Hardaway is going to stay about the same. I know Grant has really fallen off a cliff. Not fallen off a cliff, but like really dropped down from where he was last year, at least when he really popped off. He was like close up to 85. I recall correctly, was overall. Now he's down to an 81. It's not quite as high as he was. Um, no, I still am sticking with the Hawks based purely just on talent and track record. Not like they are some of the favorites because they are the defending champs, but they also have an amazing team. It's not that the team has really dropped off too much.
I'm tired.
All right. Just under an hour, 10 minutes. Maybe I will cut
Nice.
out Cheppy's little headphone situation at the very beginning. Well,
Yeah, save that for the yourself.
Well, thank you guys
Oh,
for joining me. Do we have any last words, closing words? Any final shots?
Who's gonna get the number one pick?
okay, see.
Lame.
You have a pick?
Spurs.
I have Orlando's first round pick.
Oh,
Yeah, if OKC gets the number one pick, might have to do a little shaving of the ownership crew.
That's
It's
fine.
gonna,
We'll get the following years first too.
all right.
I think it's gonna be more Spurs BS. I say Spurs get it.
Yeah, I would
one
have liked to see the Spurs be better this year.
one
No
final
one's gonna say
question.
Charlotte.
Do any of you think Ben Simmons
Oh,
will get
Charlotte.
an upgrade by the end of the season?
And no, no way.
What's his rating?
He's an
85, right?
84.
Oh, 84.
They dropped his
Ugh.
they dropped his down actually.
Actually, yeah, he could for sure. Yeah.
I think 86 would be his ceiling. I mean, what's he gonna do? Drop 20 a game on that team? I
Start
Well,
shooting threes.
well, you
don't
could have.
know.
I was really
They just
wanting to
want him
see
to
if
play defense and pass, right?
Well, I was wanting to see if someone would flip it because if he's gonna play just pass and defense, I could see him drop.
No, because if they're winning and it's like he's playing his role, he's an 84. Like, or actually, I don't know. Like, think about it like Draymond. He's like an 83 overall, even though he's like an all-star and defensive player of the year candidate. So, I don't know. Some players aren't gonna. Ben Simmons kind of has a weird reputation right now, at least this year.
I'm just worried. I'm just curious as to what's gonna happen with his
Long term.
positioning. Like
Oh,
if his positioning changes, his overall change.
oh, well, potentially, but they would probably just work around it. I could see his. What are you thinking his position's going to change to just power forward SF in 2K or something? No longer
Uh,
point guard.
Probably. My banking is power forward.
Right.
The
But
only
that would also be pretty problematic for you long term.
we've sort of
Figured it out.
made our moves for like with the idea that that is what's going to happen. That's why we went for Josh Giddey. That's why we went for Kobe White.
Yeah.
I see.
So
Makes sense.
anyway, we know we've run out of time when we're starting to talk about the 76ers. Thank you guys for joining me on this post ASB break. Yeah, let's get going on the second half of the season. Even though it's like last 20 games, I can't stand how late the All-Star break is. But got to put it after the Super Bowl. Fucking football.
Well, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, good job.
Peace out.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Go Sixers.